We are going to build TODO application using NodeJs and PostgreSQL database. And for that, if you don't have PostgreSQL, you can go to PostgreSQL and follow the download and installation guide from here. Also, you will need some web SQL client to interact with the database. I'm using DBware here. Okay, so you can download the community version. It is free. So basically it is software using which we can interact with our database, right? So to store the to-do list, we will create one simple database. Okay, so the goal of this project is basically explore the MVC pattern and also make use of Postgres with the Node.js. Okay, so I will open a empty folder in VS Code and then let's start building. Also make sure you have Node.js installed, otherwise how we will build Node.js application, right? Okay, now let's initialize our empty project with the npm -y npm init -y. Then we need to install couple of packages. That is, I will just type here npm i express pg for Postgres, then egs. We will use it to generate the UI using JavaScript from Node. So this is like templating. Then body parser and then .env. So we will store our database configuration in .env file and we will read it from there. So those are the packages for now. So click install, then let it install. Let's go to DBware. So from here, right, if you don't see, since I added the Postgres database, you can see it here. Now for you it won't be there, so you can click on this connection and select Postgres, then click next, and whatever password you set during installation you can set it, or by default installation it is Postgres and Postgres. So everything is Postgres, and you can click on test connection. Let me type the password. Yeah, and see it is connected, so it will work. Okay, so once the connection is established, you can right click and open new SQL script and see if you have already opened this new script and you don't know, query is not running, right? So need to select the database, right, for which database this query will run. So I have selected Postgres here. So if you have nothing selected here, the query will not run. Okay, so just make sure the database selected at top. Okay, then let's create our simple schema. It is really simple. We just need to create one simple table. So we will create table and then to-dos, and we will need ID, which will be our primary key. So serial primary key. Yeah, then task, and here we will insert our to-do text. So it will be varchar 255 is enough, then not null, the value should be there. Then we can add one more saying status, like is it completed or not, right? So it will be a boolean type, and default it will be false. Yeah, so that's this is the simple schema we need. So give semicolon and run it. Syntax error near task. Okay, so we did not put comma here, right? So that is a silly mistake, that's why it is throwing error. So let's run it again. Okay, updated row 0, and you can click on this your database, then schemas, then click on public and then table, So I will refresh this. So you can see, like, we can see a new table, to-dos, right? We just created right now. So once the database is succeed, you can go to our Node.js project. We just install our libraries. Let's clear this terminal, and now we will structure our folder structure, right? So first step, MVC is controllers. Here we will store our all the logics, like controller, function logic. Okay, then other is models. Now models is the part which will interact with the database. Okay, so that function we will store in models. Then we will create a third folder called as views. So here we will store our .egs files, basically HTML kind of file. Okay, view files. It is very logical. So basically we create view files in the views folder. Then those view files will contact with the controller. Basically they will communicate with the controller, and the control code will communicate with models, and basically model will communicate with database indirectly. Okay, then so this is MVC structure. Now we need one more env at the bottom, right? .env. So we need a .env file also to store our PostgreSQL configuration, and also main file app.js. Okay, now app.js, here we will write all our logic. Okay, so I will just write the .env here. Okay, so db underscore host, so this is localhost, then db underscore port, this is 5432, then db underscore user equal to whatever the user it is. So in Postgres we saw that our user is Postgres only, Postgres. Then db underscore password, here again your password. So for me it is Postgres. Then database name, new variable, again it is Postgres for me, so that's why it is Postgres. So whatever are your values, you can write it here, right? Whatever values you will create. Then db name is Postgres. Okay, let's write the model function which will communicate with the database, right? So we will create this file, to do model.js in here. So what we need to do, we need to create pool, require from the pg package, so Postgres package. Also we need .env. This we will need to get the values from the to read the values from the .env files, right? So .env require .env, so .env .config. Okay, now we will set up Postgres connection next. So const pool equal to new pool, and in here we will define our logic, the values, host post process. So that's how you access the .env values. Okay, whatever you stored in this file, you can access it using this way, process.env that name. So here it is db host, because in here we stored as db host, right? So that's why. So let me copy and then paste it. So here we need a port, So it is again db underscore port. If you look at here, yeah. Then next is user. So here also db, oh wait, db is db capital. Okay, let me select and db, yeah. So user, it is also db underscore user, yep, db underscore user. Then password and database. So let me copy these 2 times. Password and database, db underscore password, db underscore database. Okay, since our database connection is done, so let's write function to get all to-dos. Let me hide this terminal. Yeah, now we have bigger space. So const get all to-dos. So using this function we will fetch all the to-dos from the DB. So this will be a async function, and in here const result, we will store that fetch data in the result variable await pull dot query. So basically we are executing this query on this config, which is our database, right? So what query we need to execute? Select star from to-dos, which is our table name, and maybe order by id. It's not required, but yeah, let's do that. And once we get the result, we will return the result. This function result dot rows. Yep. So let's save it. Then in second model function is add a to-do, add a new to-do, right? So here again I will write this function const add to-do equal to async, and in here the syntax is again kind of same. So const result equal to await pull dot query, and the query is insert into to-dos table and for a task column, right? So that's, and values space $1 first parameter returning star, and the parameter that we are going to pass here is in the square bracket task, and this task we will pass it in this parameter, right? Task. So whenever we will call this add to do function, we will pass this task and it will be inserted into the to-dos table in the task column, right? So that's what we are saying here. Then I think we need also one more function, I think 2 more functions. Let's do that. One is for mark a to-do as completed, and one is for delete a to-do. So const mark as completed. So this is again async function. We will pass here id, like which to-do item we want to mark as completed, and then const result equal to await. In this add to do we should return something, right, to indicating that we have inserted the result, right? Result dot, I will just return the first. Yep. Okay, so let's continue our mark as completed logic. Await pool dot query. So in here the query is update to do's table set completed, which is a boolean column we just created here, right? See, completed column. Okay, set completed equal to true, where id equal to $1. So that is a dynamic parameter, right? So returning, let me copy this line, returning star. Okay, and here we will pass id, which will come from the parameter. So when we will call this mark as completed, we will pass it down here. Okay, now since this is done, we will again return here result to indicate that it is completed. Yeah. Now next function is now this one is simple, I guess. So const delete to do equal to sync dynamic id, which we will use to find out which to do we want to delete, right? So await pool dot query delete from table name to do's, where id equal to dynamic parameter first, and the parameter is the id itself, right, that we are going to delete. Okay, now all these functions which will interact with the database, I mean that's the work of models. So we will export all these models function, right? So module dot exports, and here I will just copy these names now. Add to do, then mark as completed, then delete to do. Okay, let's save this. Now our model function logic is done. Let's proceed to controller code. Okay, so I will create here file to do controller.js. Okay, so here we first need to export the model functions which we created in the to do model.js, right? So const to do equal to require dot models slash to do model. Yeah, now we got all the functions from there. We can now make use of them in this, right? So here again same thing, get all to do's, but this time it will this operation will work from the views, right? And this file will call the its matching model function, right? So to get all to do's, we will define this function const get to do's async request response, and we will just define try catch block here. Yep. And in the try block const to do's equal to await so to do the imported to do model, right? And we will call here the model function get all to do's, this one, right? And this will basically query the database, get all to do's. This queries the database and returns the row, right? So that's what we get in the to do's variable now, and we will send that to view from here, race dot render index, and here we will pass that todos. Okay, so let me write down the catch here also, like console dot if any error occurs, we can log that error, and we will also send the send status, res dot send status 500, indicating that the server error has occurred. Right now, this whatever I had done here, right, res dot render index, and I have passed this todos which we fetched from the database. So basically this index logic I will explain you. So in views we are going to create those two files, index.ejs. so here we will define our that view logic, and another is layout dot ejs. So we will define this logic later, but yeah, I just created those files. So let's go to todo controller and complete our logic in this. So another function is add a new todo. So here again I will copy this logic. So this is add todo async function. We will get request and response, right? And in here what we need to do, we need to add it in the database. So we already have that, right? So let me remove this existing, and const task equal to request dot body. So from front end we will send task, and we will get basically here we are destructuring it, right? So we are destructuring the task from the request body object, and then we will call this db function await todo. Todo is our model function imported, right? Todo dot we will call add todo function, which queries our database and inserts in the database, right? So add todo, we will pass the task here which we got from the request, and we will pass it in this database function. And after that what we will do, we will redirect user. Yep, to same page only. Yeah, so let's save it. Let's define next function, that is next function is mark todo as completed, right? So I will write it mark as completed, save it. So we will rename the function mark completed. So we will get async request response, then in try catch we need to redefine it. So here we will get id, and this will be passed as query params. So request dot params, right? And then we will call here database function await todo dot mark as completed, and here we will pass that id. So this function automatically mark as completed, right? It will receive this id and update in the database. Okay, so let's before saving it, we also need to add this redirect line, res dot, I will just copy this so we stay on the same page. Yeah, let's save it, and if any error occurs we will console log it. Then another function, one more last function we need to define is to delete a todo. So copy, paste, delete todo. I will rename this function body also delete todo. So request response try, we will get id from the request params, this is fine. but instead of calling update we will call delete to do, and we will pass that id, right? And after that happens, we can also redirect to same page and error code if any error occurs. Now down here we need to export all those controller functions, right? Module.exports equal to, and then get to do's comma add to do comma mark completed comma delete to do. Yeah, now all these things are done. Now our only remaining part is, I guess, index.js view files, index and layout. Let's create a layout first. Yeah, this also works. Let's create layout. So I will just add explanation. This will create a basic project, basic HTML structure. Yeah, then in this I will now this is the JS syntax. So whatever you will write inside this, you can set it with a JavaScript variable. It's kind of like PHP, right? If you know the PHP syntax. So percentage and then bracket. So in PHP it would have been question mark PHP and then variable. It is kind of similar to that. Okay, so basically in JS file we will set title variable, it will be rendered here, right? So that's what I meant. And so layout is basically wrapper file to the index.js. So in the body we can wrap that. So here percentage dash body and percentage bracket. So let's save this and close it. Layout. Now let's define our index.js file. So this is again simple to do. So here I will add a to do app and title, and then in the body what I can do, give a simple heading h1 indicating that this is to do app. So to do list. Then we need one form, so user can enter their to do's. So in action, so what happens when the form submits, we will make request to do's with method post. Yep, and we will define this to do's method post in the our main file app.js. But yeah, for now this is fine. Action equal to slash to do's, and we will define this method in app.js. Okay, so what else we need one input, simple input. It will be of type text, and then we can name it task, and we will make it a required field. Yeah, and then we need one simple button. So here it will be of type submit, and we can give it a title add to do. Okay, then whatever to do's you just created now, you need to render that on the web page, right? So for that we will create new list, unordered list. So in here again we will make use of dynamic variables. So question mark percentage to do's dot for each. So we will loop through the to do which we got, and then okay, so let me write it. Let's close this for now and create HTML block li, and inside this we can span, and for now for the completed to-do list we will give some unique styling, and for not completed items we can remove the strike, line through strike from there, right? So I will add like text, the simple is text decoration colon. So in here this is again a JS block, percentage equal to, so if to do dot completed, right? So that's what the column is for that to do. If it is true, then style will be line through. Otherwise text decoration will be none. Okay, so percentage and close this. Okay, so let me close it. Percentage equal to text decoration. Okay, and inside this we can show the to do text itself, right? To do dot task percentage. Okay, what else? So span we have done. Now we will show one small link here also. This block, if to do is not completed, then we can show in href, right? href equal to slash to do's slash percentage equal to do dot id percentage slash completed, and in here we can type mark as completed. Yeah, so basically this will make request to this slash to do's and the particular to do id, and we will mark it as completed from there. Okay, so let's close this block. Percentage, this. Okay, now once this is done, we also need a delete action. So href, so slash to do's slash this dynamic part. Let me copy this now, and we will make request to delete. So this all part I'm going to define it in app.js file. Okay, so and let's add delete. Okay, let's save this, and I think our work here is done. We need to close this bracket in the syntax. So percentage and end it with the percentage bracket. So let's give it a save. So let's go through our syntax one more time. So to do's dot for each to do, so looping, and we will start our angular bracket, and inside that we will show our li item. Then in span we will style this based on to do dot completed. So if to do is completed, then show that styling, otherwise show none. Okay. Oh, I see there is one small problem here, right? This single bracket, the single quote was not required. So if you look at the syntax, style equal to double quotes, then text decoration, yeah, this is wrong, and in this, if this dynamic variable, that is todo dot completed, then we will show line through, otherwise we will show none, and this bracket close. Okay, now this is fine. So our layout file is also done, index.egs file is also done. Let's now combine all this in the main app.js file, right? Okay, finally const express require express, then we will also need body parser, require body parser package. So const dot env, and we will require import that package. Then we need a todo controller. We just created it some time ago and wrote all the logic there. Require dot slash controller slash todo controller. Yep. Then we need path, const path require path. Okay, so that's all we need. Then let's import this .env.config. Then let's create express app instance using const app equal to express. This one, let's call this. Then we will define app port, on which port our app will run. So on port, let's say 3000. Then now here we will define our middleware, right? So app dot use body parser dot URL encoded extended true, and then app dot set. So we need to set view engine as EJS, so those file will actually run right on Node.js server. Then app dot set views path dot join underscore dir name and views. So basically we are setting the views here, and we are setting the views folder path to this engine. So we are saying that render the pages from this views folder, right? So that's what we are setting here. Then if the middleware is done, then next part is routes. So here we remember we had all different routes from the index file, right? So app dot get slash, and for when someone visits the page, we will execute this method todo controller dot get todos, and that method is going to and that method is going to pull all the todos from the database, right? So get todos, and this method calls the todo dot get todo method. If you look at get todos from the model, it pulls the database, returns the rows, and we get that in the controller todos variable, and we set it to basically we send it, and in here app.js we will show that, right? Get todos. So app dot post, so if someone make post request to this URL todos, we are basically making, right? In the index.js, you saw that action slash to do post request, right? So if someone make post request to this, we will call to do controller dot add to do. Yeah, see how simple it becomes once we create a structured folder, right? Then another thing is app dot get. When someone make request to slash to do's slash colon id, like dynamic id and complete, then we will to do controller dot mark completed method. So when someone make request to this route for this dynamic id, we will mark it as complete, right? So if I save this and so this is what I'm talking about, this dynamic to do we just defined here, right? When we click on it, this will make request to this route and we will catch it with this function, right? This parameter, and we will execute this controller function. So mark as completed, right? And it gets that id and it executes that model function to mark it as completed, right? So this id comes here and we execute this query. Yeah. So that's how structured it is. Then we will define same function for to delete the query, to do's colon id and delete request. Same goes for this also. Let me rename this first, delete to do. So same thing goes for here, to delete, see slash to do slash this dynamic to do id and then delete. When someone clicks on delete, this will execute. So this part, and then finally we can start our server app dot listen on this port 3000, and here in callback function we can write something like started app running. So let's save this and let's see if it works. We have written a lot of code. Let's see npm run. Before this, let's check in the package.json there is no start script, right? So remove this, then add start and node app.js. Also our file is app.js, not index.js, so change here also. Okay, so let's clear it and run it again. npm run start. Okay, error path must be a string. I see the problem. So instead of app.link, see here we need to use app.listen, right? So that is the correct function. So our node.js script will run here. Okay, not app.link, you need app.listen. Okay, so this is my overall code of the app.js. Now let's restart our server. npm run start. Now it is working, app running on localhost 3000. Then let's visit that http colon localhost colon / localhost colon 3000. So okay, it is too much expanded. Okay, so this is our to do app which is running, and let's try to add something in the list. Let's add pane, add to do. Okay, it is showing one item, but the problem is I can't see that pane, right? So let's go to our DB and let's explore what is wrong with this. So refresh to do, and I will write query here, select star from the table name, right? To do's. So what is actually getting inserted there? Let me comment this create query and let's execute this query. Yeah, so in task it is okay. I will comment this and let's try to execute the query and see what value is getting pushed in the database. Select star from to-dos and let's execute this. So we can say that pane is inserted in the database, but somehow it is not showing up in the UI, right? So whenever I refresh, so let's add another thing, maybe notebook, add to do. Okay, this is also there. Okay, so in DB it is present, no notebook and pen. So let's go to our code and see what is the problem. So our index.egs file, right? So that is not showing our main item. So in here, so to do dot, let's look at the column to do dot task, to do dot task. Oh, I see what is the problem. Here you need to add equal to, right? So that's how it will show up. Okay, so let's restart our server again, npm run. So to exit the existing terminal, you need to press Ctrl C, it will exit it, and then npm run start again. So let's go to view, let's refresh. So you can see like it's immediately started showing up here, pen and notebook. Let's mark as completed for the pen item. So if I go to database and see, so pen is not ticked, right? It is not true, it is false. So let's make it true, mark as completed. Okay, again new error slash to dos slash 1 of completed cannot get. Okay, so I guess this will not work obviously. So let's go here, to dos, the error was to dos slash 1 slash completed and to do slash 1 slash completed. To do slash 1 slash completed. And in app.js, what is our id? Slash to do's slash id slash complete. And here, oh, see again normal stupid errors. Slash complete is what we required, but here we use slash completed. Okay, so let's save it. Save this file. Let's close our server, restart again, npm run start. App is running now. Finally, let's see if it works. Okay, see it is working. When I clicked on it, it immediately got that styling of a strike through, right? And if I go to database and refresh, so you can see like pane is marked with a tick. So yeah, it is true now. Then let's delete this pane, let's delete the notebook row maybe. Okay, it is gone. So is it gone from the database also? Let's execute the query. Okay, it is gone from here. So maybe let's add A, then B, then C. Okay, and let's refresh the database. See, ABC is there. Let's mark C as completed. C as completed. It is. Now let's go to database and refresh. Okay, C is completed as well. Okay, so to complete this setup, right, whenever we develop, we close this and restart it again. What you can do is npm i -d and then install this node1 package. So this will restart our server for us. So to set up that, once you installed it, go to package.json and here create new command as dev and colon equal to nodemon app.js. Okay, and whenever you run it, you only need to execute it only once, right? npm run dev. So it will keep watching our files and it will automatically run. So let's say I comment this part and save it. It will auto restart server and refresh. You don't need to kill and restart your program again, right? So whatever changes you do, just save it, it will automatically restart. Okay, so that's our whole app. We just built TODO application using MVC structure, and we have used Postgres database in the as a backend database, right? And we also use template engine EJS to show the HTML files using JavaScript. Okay, so I will give link to this repository in the description. Thank you.